Hello and welcome to the EMS tutorial. My name is Vishal and I'm from the marketing team. I will demonstrate to you how the new EMS software works and how you all can use it. But before we log in into the live software, I would like to take a couple of minutes to explain you the idea and the purpose behind creating this EMS software. So I have these few slides which I will take you through and explain to you the purpose and role of EMS in our sales process. EMS, as you can see, stands for Inquiry Management System. This is an indigenously developed software developed by our own IT team to both input and track all customer inquiries in the sales funnel. In our case, the SMP process. Now what happens in marketing is that we undertake a lot of initiatives. On the ATL front, we do advertising. On BTL, we participate in a lot of exhibitions, do a lot of ground level promotions. On the digital side, we do campaigns on the web platform or the internet platform. We also undertake various client relationship management initiatives. Now all of these initiatives are undertaken with a sole purpose of creating new customer inquiries or fresh leads. Now the moment a new inquiry is generated in the system, our aim is to pass it on to the frontline business development managers as quickly as possible. But many times what happens is that we in marketing do not or cannot ascertain where all are you placed, which location belongs to whom, and which inquiry should be passed on to which salesperson. So there the EMS software plays an important role. It is that intelligent system which helps us distribute inquiries to the relevant people in the sales organization. The other interesting aspect of EMS is that it tracks every inquiry through the entire sales process. We know at any given point of time which inquiry is sitting at what stage of the SPANCO process, whether it is at a suspecting stage, prospecting, approach, negotiation, closed or order. Now here I'd like to explain you that the role of marketing in EMS is twofold. Now on one side, it helps us port a new inquiry that we have generated from a variety of our initiatives that we undertake to the right destination, which means the right business development manager who could work on this inquiry and take it to closure. On the other side, marketing plays a role to moderate inquiries that are generated by the sales team itself. Now tomorrow you may meet a client who could pass on a new inquiry to you which may not belong to your region or which may belong to another division and which you may want to input into EMS. So once you input a new inquiry from your side, it comes to the marketing console, and when we receive this inquiry on our console, we distribute it on EMS, making sure it reaches the right destination. Now I will explain you the 5 basic functions of EMS. What are the 5 discrete things that EMS allows us to do? Now these are basically the 5 tabs where we can add an inquiry, we can assign an inquiry, we can reassign an inquiry, we can work on a particular inquiry, we can see all the inquiries that have got escalated to our higher ups, and then there is an added feature where we can see all our inquiries in a summarized manner. But before I get into explaining you all of these individual functions one by one, I'd like to draw your attention on one important aspect here, which is the fact that broadly speaking there are 2 types of EMS accounts we have. One type is meant for people who are at the level of HOL or above, where all of these functions become operational. Whereas we also have another type of account for the frontline business development managers, where you have only the features of being able to add an inquiry, to work on an inquiry, and to be able to see a summary of all the inquiries that one is working upon. So we will now try understand each of these functions one by one. Now on the add an inquiry tab, here any person in the sales organization can add an inquiry generated from whichever source on the EMS. So this is a feature which is available at both the types of accounts, that is for both the HOLs and above as well as the business development managers. Now whenever a new inquiry is added on the EMS, that new inquiry as a rule first reaches the marketing page of EMS. So like I explained earlier, in marketing we play the role of moderating all inquiries to the right destination, and we send the inquiries to the concerned salesperson in the sales organization. Number 2, we have the function to be able to assign an inquiry. Now when from the marketing side we send a new inquiry to a person in sales, which are always people at the level of HOL or above, that person needs to assign that inquiry, either to himself or assign it further to his team below. So this tab allows us to do that. Now please note, this feature is available only with EMS accounts meant for HOLs and above, as the authority to assign an inquiry begins only at the level of HOLs. The business development managers cannot assign inquiries and are simply required to work on the inquiries assigned to them. Number 3, we have the reassign an inquiry tab. Now when as an HOL or RM you have assigned the inquiry to someone, you may later realize that you want to assign that inquiry to another person. Now this may be because the original person may have not worked on that inquiry for long, and you may want to take away that inquiry for him and give it to somebody else. Or you may simply realize that you have assigned an inquiry to a wrong person by mistake, and you may want to rectify that. So this tab allows you to do that. Important thing to note here is that you can reassign an inquiry only if no work has happened on that particular inquiry by the original person it was assigned to. So once a person starts work on an inquiry, that inquiry belongs to him and gets locked in his name. Again, the reassign inquiry feature is available only for HOLs and above. We then have the work on inquiry tab. This feature is available for both the types of accounts. The tab allows you to work on an inquiry by either creating it as a suspect or a prospect. It is also at this level that you can choose to also drop the inquiry at the suspect page. Then we have the escalated inquiries tab. This tab is available again for HOLs and above only, for them to see inquiries which have got escalated. The escalation system on EMS creates and tracks escalations on 2 parameters. It escalates basis, number 1, if the inquiries are not assigned yet, and number 2, if no work happens on an inquiry. So if you don't assign an inquiry further, or if the person you have assigned the inquiry does no work on it, after 3 days, yes, 3 days is the escalation period predefined on the EMS system, it will get escalated, and the details of all such inquiries will now start showing at the levels above you. So to your immediate superiors, they will get to see all such inquiries. Now they at this stage will get the discretionary power to assign that inquiry to another person in the sales organization if they so desire. All escalations will be automatically considered as a deviation and will be reported for the purpose of QPLR, which is your quarterly performance linked reimbursement. EMS also gives us an added feature to view a summary of all inquiries under you or your team. This feature is available on both types of accounts. So depending upon where you are in the hierarchy, you get a summarized view of all inquiries being assigned to you and being worked upon at your level or the level below you. It will give you a view on the total inquiries that are sent to you, the total inquiries being assigned, the total inquiries which are in the work in progress status, and the SPANCO stage at which each of these inquiries are. It will also give you details of all inquiries that are dropped at your level or the levels below you here under this tab. Now what we will do in a few moments from now is that we will log into the live EMS application and demonstrate to you how all of these individual functions that we've just spoken about actually work in the live software. Now for the demonstration purpose, we have an EMS ID created, which will be exactly like the one that is there for the HOL and above level people, where all the functions and all the tabs will work, so that everyone in the system can understand how everything works However, for people below HOL level, that is the business development managers, need to note and understand that their EMS page will only have the 3 tabs which allow them to add an inquiry, work on an inquiry, and view their inquiry summary. But before we get into the live application, I think it is important that I explain you how from the marketing side we input new inquiries into the EMS and what are the things we consider before we send a new customer inquiry to you. See, from the marketing side, we view the entire sales organization in 3 layers for the purpose of tagging new inquiries. First layer is that of the head of locations, the HOLs. Second is that of the RMs. And third is that of the general managers, vice presidents and presidents. Now, whenever we are about to send a new inquiry, our aim is to send as many new inquiries as possible right at the layer 1 level itself, which is the HOLs. This is because HOLs or layer 1 is the closest layer to the business development managers, as business development managers are the actual people who are going to work on an inquiry. So we want to pass on all the inquiries to them as quickly as possible. However, there are occasions when at this stage of generating that inquiry and capturing details, the customer has given very little details about his exact location. There are also occasions when we are not sure about the geographies of multiple branches in a particular city. In both these scenarios, we move to the layer above, that is the layer 2, and tag inquiries to an RM, so that the RM could forward the inquiries to the right branch. Similarly, there are occasions when details provided by a prospective customer are so few that we cannot even ascertain which broad market that inquiry should belong to, and therefore we move to an even higher level, that is the level 3, to tag an inquiry to the senior member of the team, so that the senior members can use their discretion to allocate the inquiry to the right destination. The EMS application is fully integrated to the SMP software. To reach EMS, you have to log in into your SMP account using the same login credentials as in SMP or eProposal, which is basically your employee code and password. If any one of you need any assistance on login into your SMP account, you can write to us at inquiry@ceasefire.in. So we will now log in into the live EMS application and demonstrate to you how it works. So we will have to first go to the SMP icon and log in into the SMP to reach the EMS. So we have this dummy ID that we have created for the purpose of demonstration, which we will use. So the moment you log in, this is what you see. On the top you have these tabs beginning from File, Data, Planning, Edit, Reports, Admin, Review and EMS. This is where EMS is, which is followed by Format and Help. Now under the Today's Appointment section, you have this link to your inbox which sends you all the updates on various things. So once you click on this, you see all of these individual updates, and this is where you also get to see an update and an alert the moment you receive a new inquiry. You go back to the desktop. Now on the EMS tab, the first level drop downs that you see are the same 5 functions that I explained a little while ago, which is the function to be able to add a new inquiry, to be able to assign that inquiry, to be able to reassign, work on that inquiry, or to see escalated inquiries. The 6th feature, which enables you to see the summary of all inquiries under you, is right here, which is the second drop down. So we'll first try to understand how the Add New Inquiry tab works. So we click on this, and this is what we see. Now here, as I explained earlier, anybody in the organization has this provision to add a new inquiry onto the EMS, and once you do that, you again have a choice. You can add a new inquiry by sharing its CPS. So if you have a CPS created for that inquiry already, you have a choice to share this inquiry along with that CPS. So if you were to select this as yes, then you see the customer name
there is a automatic drop down that happens which pulls out the data from the CPS itself. Here, for the demonstration purpose, we will try and add an inquiry without the CPS. So let's try to just enter details of a new inquiry. For instance, let's say the organization name is LG, contact person is Sanjay Mathur, his number is so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and his contact mail ID is sanjay@lg.com. Let's say phase 2 Noida is where they have their factory. State is Uttar Pradesh, Noida 201301. Okay, now on the right hand side, if you see, you have these fields where one is required to key in the details around what is the role you are going to play as a person who's sending this inquiry. So if you are a person who's sharing an inquiry for another division, for another market where somebody else has to work, and you can basically only play the role of a support person, so you select support as your role. Otherwise, if you think you have sent this inquiry where you would want to work yourself, you select your role as the lead person. Then you see there are drop downs around the products. So these are basically things that the customer has inquired for. So at the first level, you have all of these drop down options. So let's select CQRS here, and then again the relevant drop downs will open. So let's select low pressure, direct, indirect. So we do direct, and so you see all the relevant drop down forms are opening up. This is where you can select the size, and then you have this section where you can key in some remarks if you want. So I can put in here, please attend to this inquiry urgently, and I do send and save. So it says inquiry has been added. Now the moment you add a new inquiry from this tab, as I explained earlier, this inquiry now lands on the marketing console on our page, and we will then play the role of moderating that inquiry, and we will make sure that that inquiry is routed to the right destination. So that's how the whole thing happens. In fact, I can log into the marketing console here to explain how do we receive an inquiry the moment anybody adds it on the EMS. So for the purpose of demonstration, we will now log into the marketing account and explain you how, when anybody in the organization adds a new inquiry, how it reaches us and how do we forward it to the concerned people. So this is our account. So you will see that the inquiry that we just added has reached us here. So today being 11th December, it's a new inquiry reference number that has got generated. The inquiry source also it mentions. So the demonstration ID that we were using was of Zulkar, so it's giving Zulkar's name. Then you will see the contact person. So from here on, you will have the details of the inquiry coming in front of you. So you have the customer name, Sanjay Mathur, the mobile number, the contact email ID, organization name, and everything else. Here you can see, since we selected our role as support, it is showing support here. for the purpose of demonstration, what we will do is we will assign this inquiry back to our demonstration ID, which is that of Zulkar. So we select national office here. Added a remark here. So we will now go back to our demonstration ID and see how this particular inquiry has come back to us. Yeah. So now under EMS, when we assign an inquiry, we can see this inquiry is now sitting here, which is ready to be assigned from this place. So the same inquiry is now here, and I now have the provision to either assign it to my own self or to my team below. Important thing to note here is are these two columns where we have the status and the work status. In status, it reflects whether this particular inquiry has been assigned yet or not, and under the work status it tells us whether work has started or not. So obviously there is a direct relationship between these two, where every inquiry has to be assigned first before work can start happening on that particular inquiry. So the other way of looking at it is also this, that every inquiry which is unassigned will automatically show its status as work not started. So what I'll do here is I will assign this particular inquiry to my team below. See, I have the option here to either assign it to my own self or to any member of my team below. So for the purpose of demonstration, we will assign it to Vivek. Before I send this out to my team member, I would want to I'd like to explain you another functionality that comes into play here, which is the option to reject this inquiry. So if I feel this inquiry does not belong to me or does not relate to me, I can check this and reject it. So I do save and send. Now the inquiry has been assigned. So we have learned to do two things till now. One is to be able to add a new inquiry on the EMS. Number two, we learned how do we assign an inquiry. We will now move to the third function of EMS, which is to be able to reassign an inquiry. So you see this tab here. Yeah. So it will take me to this section where I have two inquiries sitting here, which I can reassign. As I explained earlier, one can only reassign those inquiries on which work has not started yet. Now the moment work starts on a particular inquiry, that inquiry then belongs to that person, and it gets logged in his name. So you have this inquiry that we have just assigned to Vivek Chauhan, one of our team members. So you see this particular inquiry from LG that we just assigned him. So if for some reason you want to reassign this inquiry, this may be because this person has not worked on an inquiry for a long period of time, or It may also be simply because you realize at a later stage that you have assigned this inquiry by mistake to him, and you would want to rectify that. So this tab allows us to do that. So we will try to reassign an inquiry. We will work on this particular inquiry only and reassign it. So here I can reassign it again either to myself or somebody else apart from Vivek Kumar. So we will now assign it to, say, Krishna, and do save and send. So this inquiry has been reassigned, and so the story now will begin on the EMS page of Krishna Sharma for him to work on this inquiry from here. Now what we will do is that to explain you the fourth function on the EMS, that is to be able to work on an inquiry, we will log in into Krishna Sharma's account, which is an account similar to that of a business development manager, so that you can see that if you are a BDM, how does your page look like. The demonstration ID that we used so far, which was of Zulkar, was similar to that of the EMS page of HOLs and above, but this particular account that we will just now log into will be similar to that of the BDMs. So we will just log in into this account. So here you can see that under the EMS tab you only have the three drop down options of, to be able to add a new inquiry, to be able to view the inquiry summary, and to be able to work on an inquiry. Now we will go to the work on inquiry tab and see how it works. So here you see that the inquiry that we assign, in fact we reassign this inquiry to Krishna, and it is sitting here. So you see this inquiry is now here under the work on inquiry tab. Now when you begin to work on a particular inquiry here, you have choices that you can make. Number one, it will automatically prompt you to create a suspect out of this inquiry, like the way it is prompting you right now in the screen. But you also have another option here. You may also find yourself in a situation where you may have already worked on this inquiry in the past. You may have been shared with this inquiry from the marketing side in the past, and you may have created a prospect out of this inquiry already. Now sometimes what happens is that customers send us inquiries and we forward those to you and you start work on them. But later we see that that customer does not close on that inquiry for some reason or the other, and it simply stays there silently like that. And after a few months, the customer wakes up again and inquired from us, and sent a fresh inquiry which we forward to you. Now to tackle this, you have this feature here with this button where you can link that inquiry as a prospect directly, and you can completely skip the suspect creation stage here. So when you check this, you see these drop downs opening up. So this is nothing else but your customer name with the CPS code. So for example, you have this particular customer name with the CPS code which says Bajaj-BAJ-NOF8. Now I will explain you how you can read this particular name here. So the first word is basically the name of the customer, which is followed by the hyphen sign, the dash, and then again it takes the first three letters from the name, which is BAJ in this case, followed by the branch code, which in this particular case is NO, standing for National Office. Then you have a keyword as F, which is standard for all the names here. So you will see a F, each of these cases. This is followed by a serial number. So this serial number is nothing else but the serial number of the CPS that you have created. So if it says number 8, it means this is the 8th CPS that you have created, and you have created some 7 CPSs before this. Now see, you will have to do a little bit of a manual work here mentally to see that any new inquiry that we are sending you matches with any of the names below. For example, I may say that oh, marketing has sent me this new inquiry from LG, but I think they had sent me this inquiry, the same inquiry, some 1 month back, and I think I've worked on LG already. So all I need to do is I'll have to quickly run through this list to see if LG word appears here, and if it does, I can straight away pick that up and create it as a prospect from here. So let's try creating a prospect from this particular entry that is here. Yeah, so it takes you to the same add new prospects page that is there on the SMP, which pulls out the data from the CPS here. So you have a prospect code here coming, you have the customer name, the customer along with the code, and I explained you how to read this code. You have here you are required to fill the locality, which is your territory. So you have your branch location coming here, and automatically the other options will open. So you are required to just go about filling all the required fields here and create a new prospect out of this particular inquiry, by doing save and exit. Now let's see what was the other option we had before we started work on this particular inquiry, which was the option to create a new suspect out of this inquiry. Now the system will also automatically prompt you to create a new suspect out of a new inquiry, because in majority of the cases that is what is going to happen. You will be required to create a suspect only out of a majority of the new inquiries that you receive. So let's just try doing that, and we select this and come on to the add new suspect page. So here you see on top you have your details showing, which is your employee name, so in this case Krishna, followed by all the details that are right now at this stage available on this inquiry. So it says the company name is LG, the person to be met is Ajay Mathur, and then here you will be required to select your territory, and once you do that, the remaining information around that inquiry opens up. Now you will have to stop and do a little bit of a planning, to see how do you want to proceed in this particular case. You may so decide that let me just first make a phone call to this guy and get all the other information that I need in order to work on this particular inquiry. For instance, I still do not know what is the designation of Ajay Mathur. I still do not know what is his exact address, because many inquiries, when we share them with you, they will have a very broad level address given to you, but you can't reach a place till the time you don't really know what is the plot number and what is the street and what is the exact location. So all of this can be obtained when you make that first phone call. Also, that phone call could be aimed at getting your first appointment with that inquiry. So there, if you get if you're successful in getting an appointment there, you will be able to fill details around the visit date, the exact time and the time out. Also here you have an option where you have this particular section which lets you define the outcome of whatever you did. So you can select any of these drop down options where you can say that I've created this as a new suspect, but I could not get to meet the right person, or I could not gain entry. The address provided to me in the inquiry is wrong, or that location is you permanently locked, or you could say that I want to keep it in the continued mode because I believe that this inquiry is worth pursuing further, so I'm keeping it in the continued mode. You can define any other outcome also here by selecting the others as an option, and finally you have the choice to drop the inquiry here. So it is at this level where this functionality comes into play, where you can drop an inquiry, and if you do that, you are indicating that your assessment is that this inquiry is not worth any further work, so you're choosing to drop it. Also here I'd like to mention that if the outcome of your first meeting is so that you're deciding that you would want to visit that client again, you can check this section where you can say that yes, next visit is required, and when you do that this information opens up here. These fields open up here where you can define your next visit date and the next visit time. Also do you want to make your next visit to this place as an accompanied call? You can do a yes and no here, whereas you could also have chosen to make the first visit to that suspect as an accompanied call. So that decision is completely yours. So this is how you create a new suspect. So filling up all of these details, you simply do save and exit. So let's just create a new suspect here for the purpose of demonstration. So what I'm saying here is that what I'm deciding to do is I'm checking this as an option. You have a choice between field visit and telecall. So I'm saying I am first making a telecall, and from this telephone conversation that I had with the suspect, I have got all of these details where I found out that his designation is Vice President Administration. The plot number of this place, let's say was A5, behind water tank, sector 15, and then let's say this was the Vijant Thakur mark. And yes, all the other details are there. Then STD code is this. The telephone number of his office is, okay, you have the STD code already, so just the telephone number will do. So let's say the number was 2546678, and I found out that his mobile number is 989. Yeah, I'm saying that my next visit, and so I'm selecting this as a yes option. So this was not there initially, and I'm saying yes, there is a next visit that is required, which will happen on say the coming Tuesday, which is 17th, between this time. So it says 4:31. So I'm saying he's called me at 12 noon. So individually you select everything and do it this way. Yeah, so we put the time here, so 12 noon is when he's called, and yeah, so we're creating this as a suspect. Marks, so one mandatory field is still not filled. So yeah, so we forgot to put the outcome. So we're saying that yes, this is a good inquiry and we want to keep it in the continuous mode. Another one still left out. So which one is this? So it says is this an accompanied call? I'm saying no, I'll handle this myself. Do save and exit. Record save. So you've added a new suspect. So we just added a new suspect. Now let's just see how, after having created a suspect of this inquiry, how its status has changed, how the status of this inquiry has changed. So here, if you see, the work status of this inquiry has now changed to working. So this particular inquiry is now outside of any escalation list whatsoever. So this is how the work on inquiry tab works. And what we will do now is we will return to our demonstration ID that we were using earlier, and that demonstration ID is again, as I mentioned, similar to the one that is there for HOL and above level people. Now, having learned how to work on an inquiry, we will now move to the other function of EMS, which is to view the escalated inquiries. I will explain how this particular tab works. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the EMS system has an escalation system which escalates inquiries basis two parameters. One is it checks whether a particular inquiry has been assigned or not, which is reflected under the status section. And then number two, it checks whether a particular inquiry work has started on that inquiry or not. So if on any inquiry either of these two aspects are open, it will escalate within a period of 3 days. So 3 days is the predefined escalation period on EMS. Now if you have any of these two aspects open, which means you have either not assigned that inquiry or you have not worked on that inquiry, that particular inquiry will get escalated within 3 days, and the details of all such inquiries will start showing at the level of your immediate superiors. Now if your superiors also do not take notice of this particular inquiry for the next 3 days, it will get escalated to the higher up. So the escalation matrix can escalate an inquiry up to the level of the CEO in the organization. Now an inquiry at an escalation stage can also be assigned by to another person by your superiors if they so desire. The other important thing to note on escalation is that while a particular inquiry gets escalated, and the details of which is showing at all the higher levels, you can still work on that inquiry, and assign that inquiry. For any inquiry to go out of the escalated inquiries list, the simple rule is work has to happen on that inquiry. Now if work has to happen on that inquiry, by default you have to assign that inquiry first. So the simple rule to take out any entries from the escalated list is to start work on that particular inquiry. We will now move to the last function, which is more like a feature that the EMS software provides us, which is to view the inquiry summary. Now under this inquiry summary tab, you have the provision to see a summarized view of all inquiries that are being worked upon at your level or the level below you. So you have these three tabs here, where you can see where you can view all the inquiries, or you can view all the inquiries which are in the work in progress stage, and finally you can also see inquiries which are being dropped. So let us just select all here. So the date range is 1st December till the 11th December, and I do search. So here you see all of these individual columns opening up for every inquiry, and it is at this level when you can also see at which stage of SPANCO this particular these inquiries are. So in the last column where you see status, since these inquiries are pending, if any work would have happened on this particular inquiry, they could have been in the suspect stage or the prospect stage or whichever stage in the SPANCO process. So this particular tab allows you to do all such things, where you can also export this report in an Excel file, and you can save an offline Excel sheet on your desktop for your ready reference. Now, having learned how to use all the functions of EMS on the live software, we are coming to an end of this tutorial. But before we end, I'd like to highlight some key points on this application. Firstly, I'd like you to know that from the marketing side, we are now using the EMS application as the sole medium to distribute new customer inquiries in the sales organization, which also essentially means that with immediate effect, we are stopping the practice of sending you inquiries via emails or any other medium. So EMS is the sole application that you have to look out for for all new customer inquiries coming your way from the marketing side. Secondly, I again want to highlight the importance of the Add Inquiry tab. With this function on the EMS, every one of us in the company have the ability to add a new inquiry that we may get from any source on the EMS, and the system will track that inquiry to closure in a systematic manner. Now, even if each one of you were to contribute just a few inquiries once a month or so, in total these indigenously developed inquiries by the sales team will be huge and will become a big channel of generating new inquiries by itself. As a matter of fact, very soon you will have a rewards policy coming your way, which will look at incentivizing people who come forward and share new customer inquiries on the EMS. So that's how bullish the company is on this particular front. Thirdly, the assign and reassign inquiry tabs are important for people at the level of HOL and above, because the moment we in marketing we send a new inquiry on the EMS, the first hump that inquiry needs to overcome is that it needs to get assigned first before anyone can work on that particular inquiry. So the time you take to assign an inquiry, precious time is taken away. Similarly, for the BDMs, work on inquiry tab is critical, since you play the most crucial role in the organization by actually working on these inquiries and getting business. We have kept your tabs on the EMS few and uncluttered, so that the moment you have an inquiry being assigned to you, work can start. So I cannot emphasize this more than that here. Now, as I explained earlier, escalation system on EMS, which considers both these parameters, that is inquiries not being assigned and no work happening on an inquiry, from the back end it escalates in 3 days. That is how EMS is programmed to escalate. But from a customer service or customer responsiveness point of view, if you see, after 3 days any inquiry will turn cold, and it will be pointless to get back to a customer even on the 3rd day, in many cases. So I urge you not to be driven by trying to focus too much on only complying to the EMS, but go by the spirit of customer service and sales and get back to a customer much before 3 days. Then the EMS has this inbuilt feature where every time we send an inquiry to someone, or someone gets an inquiry assigned to him or her, that person will get an automatic SMS and an email alert. Idea is simple, that you shouldn't miss out on any such important development on your EMS page. However, sometimes when we upload bulk inquiries from the back end, sometimes what happens is that we come back, say after participation in an exhibition, and we come back with large number of inquiries, and we upload all of them together from the back end. So in such scenarios, there are occasions we sometimes disable the SMS function, so that you don't receive so many SMSs together that simply become very disturbing for you. But otherwise, during the normal course of time, both of these functions are kept live and operational. And finally, we have these added tools on the EMS, which are basically support features. So on one side we have the escalation reports, and then we have the inquiry summaries. So these are basically your support features to support you on your activities on the critical path, which is to receive inquiries from marketing, to get them assigned, and start working on the inquiries to closure. So that's the role these two tabs play there. I hope you have found this tutorial useful and will now be clear on how to use this fantastic software that our IT team has put together for us. See, we believe that if used effectively by all, this EMS application has the power to tie all of us, you all in sales, we in marketing, with a single thread of purpose, so that all of us can work together like a cohesive team towards achieving our business objectives. If any of you have any query or need any further assistance, you can write to us at inquiry@ceasefire.in. Well, thank you, have a good day, and happy selling.